Okay, so now I want to develop more into the silhouette. So I've tightened up some of the edges, but it's still pretty rough. But the thing I want to show you is this can be kind of a neat way to develop the ideas even further now. So what I want to do is make sure this is all pretty much set to black. Let's kind of fill that in one last time. And then now I'm going to switch it to white. So, oh, that brush has got a horrible angled edge, doesn't it? I'll have to fix that later. So yeah, so basically the silhouette gives us the confinement of, the perimeter of our shape, so we can't go outside of there. And now what we can do is we can actually just draw inside this area. So I find this to be a pretty fun way to create. So there's a lot of artists will do value studies, and we'll talk about that as well. But then this is kind of a neat way to just start to connect the dots essentially. So we've got our silhouette there, but it's like, I think this helps if you're an artist that maybe can't see the interior of the shapes. I want to, again, give you lots of different ways to figure this stuff out because ultimately I think that's what it boils down to. When you figure out what works for you, you kind of level up in your ability, and you all of a sudden you feel like you're drawing better, when in reality, I mean, maybe you are, but the big reality of it is that you start to feel more comfortable because you found something that works for you. So your ideas flourish in that situation. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of sketch. But again, I don't have to worry about the outside edge. I'm going to take details like these studs right here, and I'm going to bring those to the inside. So it's just a matter of like using, not just leaving all the information on the silhouette that's there, but also remembering to make it make sense as it comes inside the silhouette. So again, using these same shapes inside this area. So maybe still trying to figure out what I want to see there. The shape, they're kind of weird looking, but we'll figure it out. So, scribble a lot. I always stress the importance of scribbling. Like it's where ideas happen, I feel anyways. So, get in some of the anatomy, what you know about anatomy. If you don't know a lot about anatomy, just kind of, put in what you do know. The main thing is to be creative, regardless. So don't let, if you add a certain area in the work and you don't really understand it, don't let it stifle your creativity. Just put something in there, make some marks, and then come back with some studies. So even the greatest artists forget certain parts of the body. It's a pretty complex subject, so just don't worry too much about it. Feel free to throw in shapes like maybe a center design or jewel or something on the belt here. Again, experiment at this stage. So the silhouette was just to get us some ideas going, and then to allow us to do this part with more confidence. And again, you could do this with straight to value and get really good at that, or you can sketch like this and then paint through. So I'll show you a couple ways to get this done. Just like that, drop in some anatomy, more texture for this furry kind of boot area. And if something's not right with the silhouette as I add this in, I can jump back and forth. Like one of the things I'm noticing here that I didn't incorporate, I want this material to look like a beat up kind of leather or something. So for that to happen, I need to change that silhouette as I go. So I might take this, unlock transparency, make sure I'm on a solid brush, full opacity, and then I'll just jump in here and, just add some little bumps. And I can do this, I can sketch it in first on the inside of it and then kind of correspond with these little bumps. But it's pretty easy, and leather is pretty random, obviously. Like you could just really put these where you need to. I mean, there's obviously more in areas where, there's a transition from like the foot to the ankle, but at the same time, you can really kind of go crazy with the folds that you get in leather or whatever material this is, something like leather, but it basically, you can kind of just place these randomly. So I will still sculpt the work as I go, and then, you know, clean up little inconsistencies on the outside as well while I'm here. So I'm always kind of tweaking it. So you see that little weird bump from the brush there? I'll fix that. I don't need that little mark of grass right there. So yeah, and again, just remember to, if you're working the same way, lock transparency, go back to your solid brush or your pencil brush and keep sketching. So with these wrinkles, I can now kind of bring this information into the leg. I also need to figure out if this is in front of or behind. I want to say it's in front of the leg. So I'm going to throw some of these spikes in there real quick. These are pretty random, so I can just play around with that. I can also pick apart which designs come into the shape. Maybe some don't. I want to vary that up a bit. Bunch of little triangles, basically. And as they get towards the middle, they're going to be more stout or shortened up. So as they go to the outside, they're going to be more elongated and more abrupt in the middle. And we'll probably texturize that a lot too. I can illustrate the chain links a bit better. You can also drop in little bits of shadow. Just depends on whatever style you're going for. But I kind of look at this like this is the lead up into the value or paint that I'm going to do. So none of this is wasted information, basically. I just have to throw in these details, test out some ideas, see if I like this character concept. And then from here I can paint through this, you know, especially working digitally, you can just use multiply and screen modes, different blending modes, or they're called combine modes in this program. And you can really work up over top of this, so none of this gets wasted. And I actually like using the rough sketch inside the illustration anyways, because I think that leg needs to come out more right there. I can blend it in. I can use it as texture. So that's why you don't see me worrying too much about having insanely clean lines at this stage, because I know that I can just blend this in really easily. The other thing is that because I'm working this way where it's a lock transparent layer, I can distort the line work with this, so everything's going to move proportionately. So let's see if we go to, where is it at here? We got to define a selection first. Say we want to modify the arm here, for instance. So I can grab this area. I can go to, I believe it's mesh transformation. Tell I don't use it a whole lot, but it's right there. And I can maneuver this, and it's going to move the line work and the lock transparency all together. So very effective way when you need to make edits. I'll be honest, a lot of times I'll just change the shape. It's so quick to do, and then resketch in. But that can be really effective for making quick adjustments. And just remember to lock your pixels again. So I need to figure out the shape of this kind of shoulder piece. We've got these like studs kind of protruding off, stud spikes, something like that. You know, figure out some thickness and some design to it. Maybe some texture to this area. Something like that. And again, being very rough with it, just trying to get some ideas going here. And we got to figure out the position of the chest. Now this is probably the trickiest part, because again, we're on the very inside of the silhouette. What do we relate it to? So the first thing I would do is get a bit of center line in there, at least for drawing anyways. I'd probably do it even for value studies, but I want to know where my center is, and then I can generally work from there pretty well. This is a very wide character. And I feel like I need to, again, change the shape over here. So you're going to see me keep doing this. Now, there's no line over here yet, so I'm just going to add some white paint right there, lock it back, and reselect black. All right, now I want this character to have a very squared off head, looking right at camera. And I think these will be kind of just coming off the back almost. So I'm not going to draw a big shoulder piece. I wanted him to have some real asymmetrical kind of look to him. Yeah, I still feel like I need to add more on the lat. He's just such a wide character, and I've got the chest so low. So I'll probably adjust that. But the other thing is you can just simply hit X and paint back. Now that works better once you're kind of almost inking the work, but you can move really fast with just flipping these two colors and drawing with white essentially. And it also works for the soft erase. So let's say we get to the face or something and we start wanting to really refine details, because it's very rare that I might get something exactly the way I want first time out. So what I might do is draw in some shapes. I'm going to have this kind of wild looking helmet design. Big old mean mug like this. Thinking like these having some kind of design to them as well. So we'll say something like this, but say I'm still up in the air about the look. You know, I'm still trying to figure this out. Again, the neat thing about this is you can just paint with white as a soft airbrush with, you know, again, this being locked. And you can just, it's basically like a soft erase. And then just keep going back and forth and redefining your ideas, your concepts until you get just, you know, just what you're looking for. So just remember that it's pretty easy to just keep correcting this. So you don't settle on something too fast, because you're still exploring ideas. Yes, you've got the silhouette in place, and you know, you've got a pretty good idea what this character is all about, but at the same time, there's still a lot of interior shapes to explore. So allow yourself to do that. Don't feel backed into a corner, because there's lots and lots of ways to edit, or at least a few very important ones, and that would be the soft erase and redraw method, and just play around with your shapes. Just keep going until you you know, explore new shapes until you figure it out. But I'm kind of liking the way this is going. You could probably tell since I'm not changing it a whole lot, but I kind of like the vibe that this character is giving. Looks pretty dominant, pretty alpha male. That's what I was going for. Strong and imposing. So what I'll do now is just, you know, keep sketching through. And I like to do a quick pass over everything so that I don't get too caught up into one area. The reason being is I've worked professionally long enough to know that if you do that, you might spend too much time on a bad idea. So what happens is it's usually best to, you know, kind of maneuver around and give everything a once over, especially if you're working on a project and you have to appease other people. They might ask you for an update. Well, if you're detailing just this arm, that's going to be a pretty embarrassing update. Like, here's a big white silhouette with a very detailed arm. So you have to be careful of that and mindful of that. So just you know, be aware of that, basically. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop here and head over to the next lesson and continue to refine this sketch.